Theory of Conspiracy livestream. What you are about to listen to is raw and unedited. To view the livestream or subscribe for updates, you can follow the lads using the link in the description.
Four, three, two, one. We're live. Good evening, Andy. How you doing?
How you doing, Carlos? I'm all right.
Good. I like your background.
Thank you very much. I discovered that you could do this on WebEx.
Is that your? Is that your? Is that your new wallpaper? Is that your new wallpaper? Is it? Your wallpaper. I like your wallpaper. I wonder what your missus is thinking about the wallpaper. There's passion and there's passion. That's passion.
I know.
I might have to get some underpants printed with Theory of Conspiracy on it.
Yeah, well, don't be showing me no pictures of that. So yeah, feels like it's been ages, dude. I know I think it was last Sunday. Last Sunday we did a walkabout. We weren't on this Wednesday, were we? Because we were juggling with the setup again. We're back with WebEx. We're gonna hope that the WebEx holds out again. The sound quality of the video.
That's why we delayed a few minutes. Our Wi-Fi was kicking us out every time, so I've got down to like 3 devices on my Wi-Fi. If you put 4 devices, the gremlins come. 3 devices, fingers crossed, we seem to be okay.
Cool. Okay, Carlos is going to try and keep an eye on the chat room. Okay, cool. I'll do the usual intro though. Then
excellent.
Hi TheoCons, welcome to Theory of Conspiracy. It's Sunday the 20th of September. This is which way are you? No, this way. This is Carlos.
You're up,
Yeah. And I'm Andy. And we host a fortnightly audio podcast. This is our live stream show. We welcome chat room interaction. If you want to add anything or pull us up on anything, or if we're talking rubbish, correct Carlos when he says, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct me if I'm wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm never wrong.
Basically, ask us anything you want. We'll try our best to answer it. In this episode, we're going to talk about, assuming that we've got time, good old H2O, the Williamson tunnels, a question for the chat room, 1066, Neil Armstrong, which is a throwback to one of the last podcasts, Joe Rogan, again, Carlos loves Joe Rogan, talking about Joe Rogan, and if we've got time, I'm going to hopefully squeeze in a TV review. So H2O, Carlos. H2O.
Yeah, so H2O, how does that come about? Obviously, I was being a good boy Saturday night because obviously we didn't do a podcast on Wednesday. So I was just, I always, if I'm not working, I'm either reading or researching or just coming up with new ideas for content for all our social media platforms. And a couple of people have been sending me stuff about water, properties of water. And it's something I've always sort of been fascinated, but I've never really looked into it. And then a couple of people started sending me some more emails and short VTs on what the properties of water, the way we hold water, the way we distribute water across our civilization, across the continents, across our countries, across our national cities and stuff like that. And they're saying that the water is designed to, trickle from the sky to the leaves to the mountains, and it's sort of its constant flow. That they always say is still waters, dead water. Water needs to flow, and these researchers have been saying things like water can carry information. It creates like little hexagons, and it can carry information. And obviously, if the way we create our civilizations and we distribute water across the country, we use a lot of right angles, and that can be damaging to the water. They were talking about things like we treat water like a fluid, which most people, it is a fluid, but it's a little bit more than just a fluid, they'll say. Exactly. So basically, these people were giving credence to water as if it was a living property. Well, technically, if you look at us, without water, flowing water, we don't exist. The basic building blocks of life is amino acid, and as of this second, I repeat, as of this second, without water or flowing water, civilizations can't flourish, or life can't flourish. So I put that up on social media, and I won't say it went viral, but my phone went ballistic. I mean, talking roughly, it's like 40 plus thousand notifications I got on my phone. 40 plus thousand. I had to turn it off. My phone was blowing up. I had to charge it every 4 or 5 hours. My phone was going crazy because people interacting, people say it's bollocks, people say, "Oh, thank you. This is what I think about it." So, what's your thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, that was our.
You believe it, obviously.
that was our Twitch channel, wasn't it? Where you're getting a load of comments because you put like 11 videos up, or 12. Sorry,
TikTok it was.
What did I say? Twitch.
TikTok.
Do you know too many begin with T?
TikTok.
Yeah, sorry, TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. Good old TikTok. So our audience is probably far too old to be on there, mate. Yeah. Do I believe it? No, I don't. So the video.
What don't you believe?
Right,
what don't you believe?
I'll get into that. I don't believe in water. It doesn't exist. No. The video is a very nice video. It's a new angle I've not seen. I must admit that. But the Japanese guy that was he was one of the main guys. I noticed they've got a couple of other guys, but basically in the video he says, "Oh, I've been doing this for 15 years." I'm pretty sure he's been doing it for longer than 15 years. I've heard about this water memory thing, and especially these experiments with crystals. And you know, back in the day when I heard about him, he was like getting a glass jar with water, and he would write happy or good, and every day he would say nice things to it, and then he'd get another jar, and he would have bad or hate written on it, and he would shout at it or swear at it or whatever, and he would do this to these two jars all week, and then he would go and do exactly the same ice experiments that they're doing now and create these ice crystals, and he would show. Obviously, he was cherry picking all the images that he shared. You know, now if you were to believe that video, he's got a team of these researchers that are doing this, but the researchers work for him. He's peddling. He's making money out of these ideas, and it's easy to tamper with experiments. To go, I'm going to get some nice crystals out of this experiment because at the rate I'm defrosting it or the rate that I'm freezing it, it gives the water time to produce the standard snowflake. If you look at any snowflake you get when it's snowing, you know, if you can catch one without damaging it, get it under a microscope, they all look fantastically beautiful. But if you freeze water very fast, or you know, he just has to tweak the temperature in that room to get crystals. And even so, even 15 years ago, when I heard it,
let me jump in there before I forget. I remember watching, I think it was this morning or one of them GMT programs with Adrian Charles on it, and the wife of Frank Lampard. She's an Irish woman. Someone I can't remember. She's very good looking, but I can't remember her name. She's famous. It's Frank Lampard's wife now. And they did that kind of experiment, but they did it with plants. So Adrian Charles has a plant. They both have the same plant. Adrian Charles treated his flower bad, you know, harsh language, industrial language, you know, really negative energy around it, where she was very positive around it and spoke nicely around it, you know, read it poetry.
The same plant or two different plants?
Both the same plants.
So two different plants, but the same type of. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's and the one what was positive, spoke positive, flourished. That plant flourished more.
Okay.
I'm sure they could probably manipulate it, but then they did a test where they had 2 people in hospital, where they had 20 people just ignoring a patient, and they had these same 20 people praying for this another patient. Praying for the same patient. When they were praying for it, the person did not know. The person felt better. I'm not saying it's because of God, but maybe positive energy. So using when people are praying, they use. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I just find that it's like it may be something to do
Did
with.
they do this experiment on just one person, or was it two people? This praying,
it was one person. It was done on one person. This hospital one.
All right.
But,
and was it repeated a couple of hundred times to see whether it was not
I think it was done over a period of about a month.
I know, but was it repeated on other people? And there's so much. Without knowing any details of that test, there's so much I could go into it and go, it's wrong because of this.
Have you ever been into a nightclub and you've got a gut feeling, nothing's happened, that it's going to spill over, it's going to start fighting, something's going to kick off? Okay, but if someone said to you, if you stood on the court of law and says it's going to kick off, no, nothing's happened yet, but your gut feeling has picked up some kind of negative energy. Your gut feeling. It's picked up some kind of negative vibe.
It's a saying, like when you walk into a room, you can feel the chill of the room or whatever. But just
it's your gut instinct.
It is that. But using that nightclub analogy, I used to work. I worked in a nightclub went from when I was 16 up to when I was about 21.
Oh, so you've seen it over a few times, then?
Every weekend, yeah. But one particular weekend where you knew for sure something was really wrong. Was the nightclub had changed ownership and they decided they were going to do a garage night, and it was like on it was on a Wednesday night, and literally it was full. And because it was like, oh, this is a new garage night in Warrington, there's nothing else like it. It literally was, as you said, loads of gangsters were in there. They had guns through the door and everything. Guns were pointing. In fact, the bouncers kicked off on the front door at a couple of people, and guns were pointed at them. Luckily, none of them were fired or anything. But I was working that night, and the reason you could tell something was different is because it just wasn't people sitting around having a drink. Yes, they were sitting around having drinks, but they were staring at their opposition across the other side of the room.
But the court of law, staring at someone is not illegal, and it doesn't. But
I'm not saying that. But if you go into a nightclub, normally it's loads of different individuals all getting on. The way the nightclub was set up. There was a dance floor in the middle, and there was some raised podiums and tables on the right hand side, and there's some low ones on the left hand side, and they were literally all just there. And it was like, not saying it was that no one was chatting and being silent, but you could tell it was like,
you could feel the negative energy.
One gang was over here, one gang was over there. I wouldn't say I could feel the negative energy. You just knew that it was different to a normal night where people were just getting on and having a laugh.
That's your gut instinct playing. It's because your stomach is a
it wasn't.
Stomach is a second brain. It's like it comes from somewhere. It's not come from. There's no logic, because if it was logic, you wouldn't have entered the nightclub. But it's because that's rational.
I was working there. That was the logic. I wanted to get paid.
But that's why I think this water. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just thinking this water could be something in it. Is if it's got negative energy around it.
That guy, without even going back and fact checking it, he's literally cherry picked. So these crystals, you can get good and bad crystals when you start looking at any water sample, and he basically cherry picks them. And to be honest, that video, lovely little thing on it, but just literally no evidence to back it up. There's literally this guy and maybe a couple of other people that have seen it and gone, well, that makes sense in my head. My hippie brain's telling me that this makes sense. I'm into all crystals and energy and vibrations.
That video's on our social, just in case people thought what they're talking about. I've put that video on our Instagram and Facebook pages, so you can watch the full 10 minutes of it.
Yeah, if you do go on TikTok, you have to watch it in like 1 minute episodes, don't you?
11 parts. Yeah, I had to chop it all up.
Yeah.
But that's one I think we'll probably. It's one of the things we'll probably turn back to and look into in the future. But no, I thought it was a really interesting video, and the reason why I found it even more interesting, the amount of interaction, because I put some stuff on there. I thought, my God, this is fucking great, and then nobody even looks at it or reads it. And I put something which is, I think, okay, I understand this. Maybe someone else thinks out there. I mean, literally, my phone blew up. It's literally 40,000+ notifications in 10 hours. My phone had literally blew up nearly. It's like I had to just turn all the notifications off. It was fucking that much coming through.
Yeah. But yeah, good. It's a shame we can't convert some of these into actual podcast listeners and Twitch listeners. These 40,000 people. Okay. Right. Enough of H2O. Williamson tunnels. I don't think you'd heard of these. I've got a little video lined up. I literally went there today. To these Williamson tunnels. I'll briefly tell you what they're about before I play the video. The video I've not put any sound on. In fact, I'm going to just play the video so it's on. It's just looping on the channel. So the Williamson tunnels. Basically, there's a guy called Joseph Williamson, and he had quite a bit of money. He's self-made rich man. Basically, came to sent to Liverpool when he was 9 years old or something, and basically, I can't remember how he made his money, but he made enough money to have a bit of property and a bit of land. I mean, you go to Edge Hill area of Liverpool now, and it's
it now looks pretty impressive.
And it's all so it's all houses and everything. But under these houses are all these tunnels. So back in the day, all the bedrock there is made out of sandstone, and they were sandstone quarries. And what he's done is these are all findings and stuff that you can see. What he's done is he has built like brick archways over the top of these, and then continue. What you're laughing at?
Because on the group, Neil says, "Hi, Carlos. Carlos the believer." So I just said, "Hi, Neil." Sorry.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Right. Yeah. So
right,
anyway,
Neil,
so basically, these tunnels. There are two places you can go and visit these tunnels. One's an official heritage centre, and the other one is called Friends of Williamson Tunnels. But they were open today, and they were open yesterday as well, as part of the the Heritage Week.
Yeah, Heritage
You can go to you can get free heritage visits and stuff like that. So we went along. Last year I went to the other tunnels on the other side, and so the reason there's two is that when Liverpool put the railway in, they basically split these tunnels in half, and they found some of them.
It looks amazing on the video there. I'm sort of
so you'll see it zoom out on a map, right? And all the video that I'm showing today, when you see the map on the video and it zooms out, there's a bit that says the Paddington area. That's the bit I was in today. These Paddington tunnels, and when it zooms out, you can see all these other colours, and they're all maps. They're all maps of known tunnels. Yeah. Now
it's like an underground world, isn't it?
It is like an underground world. The reason it's so mysterious, nobody really knows why he employed people to create these tunnels.
What year was it?
It was between 1810 and 1840, so for 30 years.
Could that have something to do? Obviously, I'll have to look. It could be sometimes too, because I know a lot of the monarch, when there was invasions, they used to hide underground and tunnels. So I know. Could it be something to do with rich? Because back then you would be talking the Industrial Revolution, so you're looking at this split. I don't think middle class. Well, probably middle class did exist, but you're either rich or poor. So there wasn't that kind of divide. So they thought if there was a revolution, we'll try and murder us, and then we could escape through the tunnels.
But it's too much of a labyrinth to say they're escape tunnels. Normally, an escape tunnel,
you expand on it though. You expand. Yeah. Let's build an conservatory. Oh, do you know what? Let's build a swimming pool. Oh, do you know what? Let's put a conservatory. Oh, 2 conservatories. Let's put an attic. Let's extend the attic. You always operate, don't you?
When you talk to these guys that give you on the tour, especially the heritage one, they go on a lot more about him. But they sort of say that, they hold their hands up and say, we really don't know why he's done it. One popular theory of why he's done it is there were a lot of men coming back from some sort of war that was pre-1810. I don't know which war that would be. It wasn't the first, it was well before.
Well, that era, we've lost the war to America. American independence was 1776. I know it's still
could have been coming back from that.
It's probably still. Remember that war lasted for ages. I know it physically finished, but we were still battling on in that part of the world. It's probably that part of when we were still a global power, but we were literally we lost the Americans, didn't we, to independence? The Americans themselves.
Yeah, I suppose it could have been coming back from that. And apparently there were a lot of unemployed men, basically. And so they're sort of saying that he wanted to do something for them, so he would pay them to build a tunnel. There's very little documentation to back this up, by the way. They'll tell you
be
yourself.
cheap neither. This wouldn't
No,
be
it wouldn't.
cheap.
No. So he paid people to build these tunnels over the top of the quarries, and then the next day he would pay someone to knock it down, and then the next day you would pay someone else to build it. But some of these tunnels, there's a tunnel like that, and then on top of it there's another tunnel, and then another tunnel. They're all like nested. These ones we were in, we didn't really see examples of that. But when we were on the 4th level, we were in a room that was 20 meters high from ground to ceiling. The archway at the top was maybe 5 meters, and the rest was all just dug out of the bedrock. It was all.
How far deep below ground were you?
Well, that was out. No, he didn't tell us actually, but level
50
1.
Foot? More than 50 foot?
I'll probably tell you in meters. So level 1 was sort of like just above 6 foot. So that was 2 meters. Level 2 was also 2 meters. Level 3 was higher. That was probably about 3 meters. And then level 4 was 20 meters. In fact, no, I'll tell you what, level 3 was probably about 10 meters, to be honest. That had quite a high roof as well.
Is it about 3 feet in a meter, isn't it? So you're looking at about 50 feet, yeah. About 50
feet. You're looking at so 20, 10. Yeah, you're looking at about 35 meters. So yeah. It's maybe 150 foot that then. Maybe
3 yards in a meter, 3 yards.
Yeah. So yeah, also that Paddington Tunnels, when you see it zoom out on the map, it then pans left and you'll see a picture of it with like 4 guys. It's only quite quick on my video, but those 4 guys, those were taken before all these tunnels were filled in, and they basically said that you could. I mean, they were going down with candles. There was no electric technology back then, and they said they could walk unhindered in that Paddington tunnel for a mile. Now you can see that there's no way a mile of connecting tunnels there, but as we went down, so we sort of went down and then we went, say, to the left. He said, look, this tunnel goes to the right, but because of all the buildings that have been built, we're not allowed to tunnel that way because we might undermine all the buildings.
Yeah,
and he says, but we do know. He said we've stuck probing rods in there, so it's all filled with this. What they used to use? They used to superheat coal back in the day, before like your natural gas. You would superheat coal, and in the furnaces, and out of that coal, like a gas comes out, and you would use that to do all your gas lamps and stuff. And so you'd have all this like coal left over, and it was quite a soft material. I can't remember what he told me the name was. You had all this soft material, and literally these tunnels were all filled up with it. But in the tunnels, you would find. I think I got a screenshot of it.
So do you think that this could be done for military purpose or for paranoia? Or just because...
No. They literally think he was just giving out-of-work men a job. He was training them how to. If you could build an archway in a tunnel, you could go away and build a bridge. Then, you could go away, build a house, build a bridge. Some of these connecting tunnels at the top were very tricky designs, very clever.
Because there's the same kind of thing in Birmingham. I don't know if it's called the Birmingham Live or something, but I remember reading about it. There's a girl I used to work with. She brought it to my attention about 2 or 3 years ago. Jessica Fox, she's called, and they built it in Birmingham. It's like an underground world but this was built for sort of like World War II purposes. Like if it was a nuclear fallout, where would people survive? So you built underground worlds, and I'm just going to throw a number out here. So you could 1 million people could live there, and they could live under there for 3 years with tin food and obviously water. H2O is very important, just in case, flowing water. But so that was built for military purposes. But that was done for probably during the Cold War. Obviously, we think because everybody thought there was going to be a fallout. So I find this quite interesting. This is just some guy who's bored, got money, and probably say, "Oh, what can we achieve if we work together as a team? So it's usually there's always a purpose, but this sounds like it's just some guy who's bored.
Yeah, no one really knows as well how many men he employed. It would have been a lot. Like I say, there was not a lot of paperwork
We
back
probably
in the day.
learned we probably learned some great techniques. Like
Yeah.
I bet you some of the techniques in here, correct me if I'm wrong, team, but I bet you some of the techniques used in here were probably used on the Euro tunnels between France and England. Some of the techniques used on that.
Or maybe even the tunnels that go under the Mersey. Liverpool's got a couple of tunnels that go under the Mersey. You know,
Yeah.
could have been
I bet you
anywhere, but
say, I bet they've got to certain depths where, oh, shit, we need to go further down because, you probably need to speak to some geologists and stuff like that. But I know you got bedrock and you got certain types of clay. And then when you get to a certain type of material, I can't forget what it's called. That's the perfect material because it's like it's waterproof and water can't see through.
yeah.
That's what they do in the Euro tunnels. But I bet you they come up with some technique and they probably documented it. So no, that's an interesting. You went there, you go there with the family today? Because I've seen a picture of you then.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I turned the camera around and have a little pan to show us that. Yeah, I took my dad and Lily last year to the heritage site.
Like a natural miner there, matey.
I know, and then they got they were just doing 5 ticket sessions today. Obviously, because of the corona, you can't have more than 6 people. Obviously, he's the 6th person in your tour guide.
So not 7 people, but 6
I took my
people.
brother and my nephew along. So yeah, they hadn't seen the other tunnels. My dad thought the other tunnels were more impressive, but these I thought were just different for a different reason. They were more like the others did look like just tunnels built on tunnels for the sake of it, whereas this was more. No, what's he doing? The guy told us a good story as well. So the way you start off and where you meet them is actually under his old house. Now his old house isn't there. All you've got is the front of his house, and then and they've sort of pinned it up the front of his house because the rest of it was demolished.
No,
And
good. I've got 5 nieces. I might take my
yeah,
nieces away. Well, not away, but just obviously going to see them and stuff like. Because it's only probably
yeah.
a 30-minute drive from where I live, anyway. So
Yeah, it's not far.
good.
It's not far. You can park on site, and I'd recommend going to either one of them, Carlos. So yeah, if you
I love stuff.
put
As you know me,
Williamson
I love
Tunnels in
history.
Wikipedia, and you'll get a link to both the Heritage Centre and the Friends of Williamson Tunnels.
I love stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
no,
going to say,
cool.
no, I obviously I'll look into that further. I'll have to read up on that as well because you brought that to my attention.
Yeah.
But what was you going to say? Didn't you have a question for the chat room? You said.
I have got a question for the chat room. Let me take the video down. Question for the chat room. Don't know how many people are on.
Well.
Yeah, don't know how many people are on, but we'll come back to it. What's the weirdest food combination you've ever tried? So have a think about that. It could be like, I don't know, baked beans and ice cream or something like that. Where, you know, 2 normal foods, and you've put them together, and they taste
I've
great.
got it in my head. To me, it sounds normal, but to most people, it'll sound revolting. It's probably what I've had is. I'll tell you what I'll speak about when you.
All right, okay, we'll give them 5 minutes to come back. So let's do 1066 then. You wanted to mention 1066.
Yeah, so I always do Carlos's historical event of the day or fact of the day kind of stuff. And I remember reading a book about obviously 10. If I said to you, if you say 1066 to most people, they'll go Battle of Hastings. Yeah, that's correct. It was 1066, but that was in October time, October the 14th, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was for William the Conqueror. But there's the anniversary today of the Battle of Fulford, which is near York. And to the people who know their history, York is the true capital of England, not London. It was actually York, then London. So that's how, obviously, when the Romans came to Manchester, it became Mancunium. They go to Chester, and then they'll go to York. And that's where they say the name Manchester comes from. Mancunium and Chester, Manchester. They melded them 2 words together. But today was the battle, was it King Harold? And that lasted, and that was and that's today, the 20th of September, 1066. So this time, just under 1,000 years ago, was a quite an eventful day in England because there was a battle of the Fulford, and about 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, William the Conqueror.
Yeah.
So that's just a bit of history there on the 20th of September. The one thing I do like, if you look at, I read books, so much books on history, and the one thing, because we're an old country, we are old, not older than some countries, but we are a very old country. We're just steeped in battles. Everything England does involves a battle somewhere. But if
Yeah.
you look at all old continents or old countries, you have to go to the Middle East, Persia, and obviously the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. It's all filled with battles, and the way we are, the way we talk, the gods you pray to, the way you dress, it's all stemmed from battles and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I just thought that'd be an interesting story. That, well, you got it right. You said the arrow in the eye.
Yeah. There was a couple of things on. There's a famous. Well, it's not famous, but there's New Willows isn't far from where I live.
Yep.
Sort of like North Warrington. They've got I think it's called Red Hill or something. The Battle of Red Hill is basically fought in one of the fields just out the back of New Willows, and I've got a friend that goes metal detecting or all sorts of things, and he loves just
old arrows and stuff like that.
I'm not sure what he's found, but he's found all sorts of stuff. He likes the Roman stuff as well, because obviously Warrington was also Roman.
Yes.
They found so Warring Town is where Warrington comes from. So they reckon it was
the name Warrington, Warringtown.
Yeah. But that's what we were told in school. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Smith's proves it. Mr. Smith's nightclub proved it on a Friday night.
Not far from Mr. Smith's is a bar. I think it's a Weatherspoons now. But in it, there's a bit of floor that they found. And there's I can't remember if it was like a gladiator or it was something. But literally, so even though it's a pub now, it's still got a glass floor, and you can go and stand and look down. It's all lit up, and you can look down at the this tiny little square of bit that they found, and it's protected by the glass. They can't do anything.
It's like a time capsule, basically.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. It's a bit like those Roman things we were on, except they were replicas, weren't they?
Yeah.
But this is genuine. As they were building that building, they found it, and whatever's been in that building, it's mostly been bars and pubs. But whatever's been in that building has always had this little thing. I remember going in it absolute years ago when it was more of a restaurant-y type place. And they had this bit in the corner. So, yeah. Oh, also, do you know where, obviously a lot of our swear words are Saxon swear words, four-letter swear words. Do you know where that comes from?
Yeah, the bow and arrows, when the longbows.
Yeah.
So what they used to do to the French, because obviously you need that to pull the arrow back.
It's true.
And they used to go, and then they chop them off, so they couldn't use the bow.
That's it. William the Conqueror. If you ever caught archers, would chop those two fingers off. So as they were battling and he was riding past, all the archers were going, because I can't remember what it was, but they would come up and have some sort of talks before the battle started to see if they wanted to surrender. And all the archers were going, wee, like that, and that's where that came from. It's going, you're not having my two fingers. Here they are.
Well, just to add to that, which is sort of digressive, but saying to do with battles, do you know why we drive on the left-hand side?
Yes.
Why?
Because you used to wear your shield on the left-hand side of your arm, on your left arm. So if you cross people, you would have shield on shield. Now, I used to have a motor vehicle engineering teacher who was Italian.
Shield. Everybody, about 95% of the world's population is right-handed. So you can pull your sword out and you can attack. That's why we drive on the left side. Yeah,
so your shield on shield, but you've got your sword there to attack the guy as you go past, as you cross. Yeah. Now, we had a motor vehicle engineering teacher who said, "Oh, do you know why you drive on the left in this country and everywhere else drives on the right? It's because the England don't trust anyone. Because you used to go past and you'd have your shield." And I'm like, what's that got to do with not trusting anyone? You could still pass on the right hand side and just whip your sword out and go bash up round the back of your head, couldn't you?
It's because the Americans drove on the left hand side, but after the American independence, they chose to anything England implemented, they wanted to change. But also something to do with the wagons. All their wagons, their brakes were on the left hand side, and people couldn't see them drive. So stooges, I think, was where I used to carry like cigarette stooges and stuff. Their brakes were on the left-hand side, so they were always falling off. So they drive on the right-hand side, so they could see them. That's one of the reasons why. Well, the books I read at night, I tell you what, fascinated.
Crazy,
so
man.
that's the So that's just an anniversary, and that happened on the 20th of September. The Battle of Fulford, near York.
Wow. Cool, man. I wanted to mention Neil Armstrong. So in our
I've got a message. It's raiding with a party of 9 raiders. Jones is raiding a party of 9 raiders.
Yeah. So Jones is my brother-in-law who's a Twitcher.
Okay.
He's got 9 watchers, and they basically all just come over onto the chat room.
Oh, good. So, thank you, Jonesy.
Yeah, they've just missed us talking about water. Very interesting subject.
H2O.
Yeah.
H2O.
And the Williamson tunnels. You missed a good little video there. The Williamson tunnels. I'll have to go back and watch that. But if we don't put them to sleep, so
I'll just speak about the 20th anniversary of the Battle of Fulford.
Yeah. And I was just about to pull Carlos up on some Neil Armstrong stuff that he told us in the last podcast that came out. Was it episode 17, the moon landings?
Yes.
Was that, wasn't it?
17,
so you, at the end of the podcast, you threw something at me that I hadn't had a chance to look at, and that was Neil Armstrong in the 25th
protective layers
25th anniversary speech about the moon landing. Said, "Yeah,
we stand here amongst you all. The 25th, obviously, we what I can't remember what was the author. It says they don't fly like parrots or something like that, and he talks about this knowledge out there which for all you lot to look for. Only if we can remove truth. I actually do the full quote. Actually, put it on our social media stream. Platform.
I've got it here. I've got the full quote here. But why do you think he was talking about parrots? You think there's a hidden meaning there that he was?
Yeah, because some of the people who are questioning why we've not been back is because parrots don't fly. They repeat. They're told what to repeat. Basically, they just repeat what their masters tell them.
Yeah.
And he also talks about removing truth's protective layers. Why does the truth need to have protective layers? If I say to you that's white, it's white. If I tell you that's black, that's black. That's the truth. I don't need to say it could be blonde. I'm not sure. It might be green. I don't know. But it's not the truth. So it's removing the truth's protective layers. And I think I put quite a few videos on there. I'm sure you're going to put some kind of skeptic on it.
Go on. I've had a little research. So, Wilbur Wright, you think he was an author? Do you know who he was?
I know the name, but I don't know too much about him.
Have you heard of the Wright brothers?
Yes. I thought there was Verrill.
Oh, I don't know. I reckon he's related to him though. But
unless he's a cousin, because there's only 2 brothers. Wright brothers, 2 of them, weren't there?
Yeah. That's the connection I made anyway. But in the speech he says Wilbur Wright once noted. In fact, the chat room can correct me and find out if Wilbur Wright was related to the Wright brothers. Wilbur Wright once noted that the only bird that could talk was the parrot, and he didn't fly very well. So from that, basically, Armstrong is basically saying he's basically. Obviously, when you start a speech, you try and get a bit of a laugh out of it. Obviously, he admits himself he is bad at talking. He's good at flying. He's probably, in fact, I've heard people say he's probably one of the best pilots ever. You know, but he's very bad at talking in public. So he's sort of got that quote and gone.
Or could that be a hidden cryptic message?
Well, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying.
He's got such a presence that the guy could talk about bog roll and it'll sound interesting.
I don't think he has got a presence. I think he's very.
He has. Every video I watched on Neil Armstrong, I just sit there and watch, learn, and observe. I just watch.
Yeah, no, but he's known for being very boring because he's not a talker. He's not a good talker. He's not
like someone in the realms of, say, Barack Obama. Barack Obama was a great speaker. He's not in that, but he's someone you listen to. It's like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs is not a great talker. It's just he's got a certain presence that when Steve Jobs talks, he just walks around with a black top, New Balance trainers, blue jeans, and that's it. just what he does it does it. It's the same voice. He doesn't shout, doesn't lower his voice. It's just monotone. But you listen to every word he says.
Well, I saw something about why you. I saw something why you might have quoted Wright at the beginning, and that was because Wright, according to the person that wrote this, was one of the founders of aviation, which is why I made the connection with Wilbur Wright. With the Wright brothers. Wilbur Wright was from the same state as Neil originally, so he obviously must have learnt about him in school and stuff like that. And Wright said something funny about pilots giving speeches that Armstrong thought would get a chuckle. It didn't. People have misread what he said. He thought he was going to, he's basically saying, parrots are good at talking. Parrots are good at flying, but they're the only bird that can talk. And he's basically saying he's good at flying, but he's not too good at talking. Basically, that's what he's saying.
Parrots are not very good at flying. All they do, parrots do. They're not very good for you. Parrots are not very good at flying.
They're still a bird, so they're good at flying.
He's very good at what he says. If I said to you, most people will say, Polly, what a nut, or Polly, what a peanut, whatever it is. Parrots are good at repeating what their masters tell them.
Why would Armstrong say that he wasn't a very good flyer then? Because he was like...
Because it's a cryptic message. It's a cryptic message.
No. Anyway, the bit that really throws the thing out is that you say that... What was the last bit he says?
Choose protective layers, and there's knowledge out there which beyond belief.
That was it. So his full speech, I've got it here, says today. Well, not his full speech.
I didn't interrupt. Jonesy just says Wilbur Wright was one of the Wright brothers.
So, thanks, Jonesy. I thought he was. You threw me off then with this other guy. So the bit of the speech leading up to that was see Jonesy's team makes sense, not team nonsense.
Hey, this is blood's thicker than water, eh? Hey, don't put intended.
I know, right? So today we have with us a group of students, because he's talking to a group of students, and he's trying to.
Bill Clinton was the prime minister, president at the time as well.
Yeah, and he's basically trying to encourage them to do whatever it is they're doing, be the best, right? So today we have with us a group of students among America's best. To you, we say we've only completed the beginning. We leave much that is undone. And this is the bit that you picked up on. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
Yeah.
So he's basically inviting the students to discover hidden truths, right? Just like any scientist does in any field of science, whether it's nature, biology, chemistry, physics, there's always something there. Natural secrets of nature that are protect. You're breaking down nature's secrets, aren't you? So for example, we've talked about water. We used to just think water was water, but it's not. We know that it's now made up of
minerals.
One part hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen. Before we discovered elements.
If you boil water down, you end up with loads of minerals as well.
Yeah, there is. I'm talking about the pure water. Regardless of the fact that stuff gets floating in it, which is your minerals. If you want to make pure water,
Jonesy says, I think he was telling the students to think outside the box and to push the boundaries.
That's where I'm getting at. But Carlos was really focused on these undiscovered technologies. He's mentioned undiscovered technologies.
Tell the people I've actually put the video up on our social media. So obviously, will someone decipher it the way I think it's being deciphered?
I basically think that these people that are deciphering are basically just forcing a different interpretation of what his words were, just to make them mean, just to make it refer to their conspiracy theory. Basically,
he did become a recluse. This is probably, to this day, one of the most famous person that walks the face
He
of the
was
planet.
always.
And he probably was the famous person that walked the planet.
If you what's the film that came out last year about him? If you watch that film, you realise that he was a bit of a loner all the way
Ryan
through.
Gosling.
Yeah,
Ryan Gosling.
yeah.
Armstrong, I think it's called. Oh, Man on the Moon or something. It's around.
No, First Step or something.
First, yeah, it was Ryan Gosling. Yeah, I watched
Something
it.
like that. Like that. Jonesy, a lot of current tech has come from space exploration. Teflon was one.
A lot of
or was it a gift from aliens? But no, yeah, you're right, Joe. Yeah, you are right.
But to add to that is also Buzz Aldrin.
Cool.
Buzz Aldrin spoke about. I also put the video up on the social media where Buzz Aldrin talks about there's a moon that orbits the Mars, and there could be a monolith. And he says maybe the universe put it there, maybe God put it there. So he's saying a monolith is a creation. It's a man creation. He didn't say man, but what he's trying to say, he's implementing something. He's implementing.
Yeah, I do need to come back to that one, dude. I definitely need to come back to that one.
I put the video up on our social media feed. So this is Buzz Aldrin talking about it as well.
I know that is on my list of come back for previous episodes.
Jones says anal probe from aliens.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Right, just a real quick one on helium-3. I definitely mentioned it last time we talked about it. But yeah, it's definitely not science fiction. If you've watched the film Moon, that literally is based on it. But I didn't know this. So so far, it's not been possible to create a helium-3 fusion reaction with it. So, well, it has, but not one without a net power output. So what they're saying is, to turn helium-3 into energy, it takes more energy to turn helium-3 molecules at the moment into energy that you can then use. And also, there was another factor that helium-3 actually, if you were to get it from Jupiter rather than the surface of the moon, because again, it's only on the surface of the moon where light's been impacting it for so many millions of years. But apparently it's much more abundant in Jupiter, and also it would be a less power-hungry process to collect it and refine it and stuff.
Well, you
possibly
think
because of the gravity.
Because Jupiter's a big gas giant, obviously, but I know core of it is rock. So the
Jupiter? Yes. Jupiter is.
It's a gas giant. But
it is a gas giant. It's have you ever heard of a brown dwarf? It's a type of star. It's a very, very small star.
It's a failed star, basically.
Yeah. So Jupiter is just slightly not big enough to be a brown dwarf, basically, and create a binary sun in our. If it was a bit bigger and the gravitational force had more, it'd possibly ignite. You know, that pressure would then ignite, and you'd get like a little mini sun coming out of it. So it's just not big enough, apparently.
Without Jupiter's basically our big brother. Without Jupiter, we probably wouldn't exist. The amount of because it takes a lot of.
It's got a big gravitational pull. Yeah.
So it brings all the asteroid hits, but it's like any big brother. It might have a day off one day, and one of the asteroids hits us directly. But Jupiter is our big brother. It looks out for us. Jones has just put a message on the group. What do you think of life being detected in the atmosphere of Venus? I'll take this
good one.
This is me all over this. It's like Jones, and we need to talk about this. I think we will find life in our solar system. Over the last 12 months, 18 months, lots of information, this is my personal opinion, has been drip feed into the public, where lots of documentaries, Are We Alone, on Netflix, on Amazon, information saying, oh, we may have found this, we may have found that. The CIA or releasing footages of certain, whereas naval pilots have followed certain discs or certain orbs and they can't track it, but they've tracked it on radar and it's just disappeared. So they're releasing all this information. Now we're saying we could find life on planet Venus, but also a lot of the planets orbiting Saturn and Jupiter. When I say life, I don't mean little green men. I mean, it could be just bacteria, it could be amino acids, but that's still life. The way I look at it, if we find life in our back garden, i.e. the planet of Venus or a moon on Jupiter or Saturn, then we have to accept that life is abundant in the universe. I'm talking people like you and I, our cosmic brothers and sisters. So to answer Jonesy, I think we will find life on Venus or the moons, but I don't think little green men. What's that? Little green men.
I'll probably point the other way. So yeah, look in the chat room, in the chat.
And,
So Jones,
we'll
I've not seen this, Jonesy. I need to look at this. So microbes have been found in the clouds of Venus in massive numbers. It's on the news at the moment.
As in now?
I don't know if he means right now, but
I've read.
Sorry, major news at the moment. I just had to move something over on my screen.
Okay.
So I haven't seen that one, but
no, I've read some literature because science. I get loads of science, and they're saying like, and basically because the questions I've submitted on these things, like, what does that mean for us? It means basically if we find bacteria in our literally our back garden, that we have to accept that life is abundant in the universe. When I say people think, oh, life, little green men.
How do we know like bacteria didn't get there when something collided with it? You know, when the
well, that's
when the asteroid hit us and took the dinosaurs out.
Good question. We call that panspermia. So we could be Martian. So if you the analogy someone gave me is you put Rice Krispies on the bed, you smash your fist down in it, the Rice Krispies goes everywhere. So think of an asteroid hitting a planet and it permeates the universe. So yes, we could be descendants of Mars if you look at it that way.
And you're picking Rice Krispies up forever then as well.
What's that, sorry?
Then you're also picking Rice Krispies up forever then.
You picked up Rice Krispies. Yeah. Well, that's one way. I think the way I look at it, I think we're all made from we're all made from the same primordial soup. And the way I look at it, we put all the ingredients in a box, we shake it up, and we throw it everywhere. It's just some have a little bit more material than others. And it's just the universe just permeates with all this life. And I think we will find it. I think the information is being drip fed to us bit by bit, because I know I can go on for hours on this on my own, but look at the way we handle. Look at keep an eye on the group. Look at the way we talk about coronavirus. You, Nick, and I have different views, and I think us three guys are well read. We're open minded, but we disagree on we've had some really heated debates. That's three guys who are educated and open minded.
Yeah.
Imagine if you're the opposite of us, who you are narrow-minded, you're not well-read, and this throws. If everyone says, yeah, there is aliens, I would shit myself. Can you imagine someone like people's parents or grandparents who are religious? Religion would be coming to people would doubt religion. Oh, I thought God chose us as the major species kind of thing. So religion will go into. I think personally, religion will go into meltdown. Even the Roman Catholic Church have accepted if aliens are out there, then God made them as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're already hedging the bets, and I think religions would just adapt. There's some funny comments in the chat room. Carlos, why are your books so skinny? It's because they're all penguin books. There's nothing special about us. Life is everywhere in the universe, everywhere, wherever the environment can support it. Yeah, probably right. Again, Commander Kremen, reference to one of our previous podcasts about whether
they're vinyl behind me.
Are they? Where are your penguin books gone then?
They're in the bedroom next to the bed. Right. What a shitload of books there though.
Next to you, Mr. Man. Mr. Man book.
a Roger Red Hat. He looks intelligent having vinyl and books behind her as well.
Jonesy
just put a link for Sky News.
Yeah, cheers, Jonesy. I'll be looking at that. Definitely. Dude, I think we were going to mention Joe Rogan. I think we shelve that for next time because that can keep.
Well, no, it'll be a quick one, Joe, because it's
go on then. Go on. Joe Rogan, and then I tell you what. Let me throw my film review in because I don't have a film review.
Okay.
I was supposed to go and watch Bill and Ted this week because it came out this week. Never really liked Bill and Ted 1 and 2 anyway, even though it was right up my, I was right at the perfect age when they originally came out.
Oh, in the 90s, was it? The 90s?
Yeah, I think, 90s, yeah. Definitely definitely am going to go and watch it because there's nothing else coming out at the moment. Commander Kremlin loved the first one. Well, I'll review it next time we're on then because I think I'm going to go this week and watch it. But just wanted to mention, catch me on the TV on Saturday the 26th of September, this Saturday. Catch me. I'm on ITV, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
When Britain's Got Talent. I'm not on Britain's Got Talent. Well, I am, but I'm not in this yet.
Catch you? I thought you said that. Okay, I thought you said
catch me. Yeah, catch me. I'm in the virtual audience, so I don't know if you probably don't watch Britain's Got Talent, but
I'm reading books on aliens.
Yeah, because they've got a virtual audience now, and it like this, they've just got like loads of little TV screens behind all the judges. No, I'm not singing Commander Kremlin. It's magic tricks I'm doing. I'm not doing magic tricks. I'm literally one of these little boxes. You'll see me, the missus, and the kid in one of these little boxes behind the judges. Maybe, who knows if you get on. We were pretty much, when we were being filmed, we were pretty much central. There's like a pulsating star in the middle. We were pretty much central over on the over on the left hand side of right hand side of the star. You might spot me, might not. You'll have to have it in HD because if you don't watch in HD, you can't see anything. But pretty interesting filming. Watching it, I've been to obviously Manchester, Media City. I've been with Nick to a couple of things. I've been to stuff on my own. So I've been to quite a few showings there. But you're actually you are in an audience. Never really been on that. I think I was on. Do you remember when Jeremy Beadle used to do You've Been Framed?
Yeah, You've Been Framed.
Back in the day when he was stood there.
50 quid.
Yeah. Me and my mate Plum were in the audience back then. Yeah. Yeah.
Small things. I don't know if he lost them and amputated them.
No, it wasn't. He just had a smaller hand. Just a smaller hand.
Amputated something.
No, I just had a small.
Sorry, Jeremy.
Well, he's dead now, and he died of pneumonia.
Did.
Yeah. So back when they used to have a live audience, I was on that. That was years ago. When I was probably 18 or something like that. So now they're doing like these virtual audiences. So we literally had like a Zoom call, and literally you're just watching the feed from the studio, and you've got the best thing about it was the warm up man. He was just so every time they weren't filming, he just stood in front of the screens and he's just chatting to us. He's going, playing little games with us. Go and get something beginning with R or something beginning with P, and you run about and he chats to you, and he spotted a load of people. What you're drinking? Everyone's holding their drinks up and stuff like that. So he started giving people nicknames. Hey, there's tequila girls or whatever. So it's quite funny.
It's a new interaction. I think it's shit personally, but hey ho, we have to move on. So I've seen comedians do the same thing, and they're doing comedy down Zoom. And I'm not a comedian myself, but you need feedback. You need to feel the audience, don't you?
It's hard. It's hard for a minute. They've not been
hard. It is what it is. It is what it is.
Jonathan Ross on Saturday night, just after Britain's Got Talent, he did a.
Is Jonathan Ross back on now?
Yeah, no, but not the Jonathan Ross show, but it was a Jonathan Ross comedy or something like that, and it basically I saw a trailer saying an advert, and he was basically like going, yeah, this is I'm bringing comedians back, this is how it should be, and literally he's in a little studio, and he has got audience members, and they're all wearing these black masks with the Jonathan Ross comedy show on the mask, basically advertising it. They're all socially distanced, but it looks like there's about 20, 25 audience members there. So the comedians have got a bit of feedback, and he had a couple of known comedians and he had a couple of unknown comedians, and he's like, right, these are some unknown people. They come on and just did some jokes. Some were funny, some weren't. It was a bit like a comedy night, but it's difficult. It's difficult, man.
No, it's gonna be. Well, I've just noticed that it's obviously 7 minutes past 10. This Joe Rogan one I've got, it's not a 5-minute one. It could go for longer. I don't know.
Go on, do it. Let's just do it. Just do it, man.
Because there's two parts there, but I'll do the first part. If we've got time, I'll do the second part.
All right.
Is Joe Rogan had the podcast on Friday, just gone, with Douglas Murray. I've got the comment there. I won't read it all. And he talks about the Douglas Murray he's a famous author. He's an English one, and he was talking to Joe Rogan via Skype, I assume. And he said Joe Rogan was explaining why he left the state of California to go to Texas. California is fucking all over the place at the moment, from the taxes to the new laws that are being put in and the way they've been handling COVID, the amount of homeless people. Literally, you think of anything what's going wrong with California, it's gone wrong with California. So much so in the state of California, if you misgender someone, you can go to prison. For example, that's how there's a law coming out now. So you've got to be careful what you say in California now. And he said something about fires being put up, being lit in Portland by arsonists. And he came out literally 24 hours later saying, "No, I'm sorry, I was misled, and I shouldn't have said this. I should have looked into my research a little bit further. I should have fact checker and all that kind of stuff." Correct me if I'm wrong, team, but it seems to me that's the first time he's ever corrected himself. He's been around for. I've known of his work for probably about 8-9 years. He's been going a lot longer than that. It's the first time he's ever gone out of apologize. So do you think he has a public interest at heart and that he has to, when he's wrong, he has to say, "Shit, I was wrong," because now he is a world celebrity. People know him soon, because obviously he's probably the highest paid media person out there. He's on £25 million a year basic. So I don't know many people earning more than that.
Yeah.
So do you think he has to, when he says something wrong, he has to apologise now? And does that create
or do we think it's because he's
environment?
or do we think he's getting pressure from Spotify to do it? I mean, I personally don't watch his stuff because it's just too long. It's just
Yeah, but you can watch you can watch the 15-20 minute snippets on YouTube.
Yeah. It's going and finding a man and stuff like that. But no, I mean, I don't know. I can't answer that. We'll have to see if he comes out with more corrections. I think it's good that he's corrected himself, and he's not. If he's personally realised, and in all the years he's been doing it, he must have realised some stuff or changed his opinion on stuff and gone like, "Oh, I didn't believe we went to the moon, and now I do believe we went to the moon." I think you've said that. You've said that he's changed his mind. Yeah. You've said
he actually thought the moon was a fake.
Yeah.
The moon
Yeah.
was a fake.
But he's probably come back on it. You only know that because he's come back on a later video and told people he's changed his mind.
Jones has just jumped in and says, "I think it's weird that Trump has taken an interest in him." That's correct. Trump now is beginning to retweet a lot of his work. He retweeted one where Tyson was talking about he gets an erection when he fights men, and he says, that's even Joe Rogan's going, okay. He says, "No, when I go into a ring, I get erotic. I get like an erection. I want to kill the man." And and there's like a 3 or 4 minute snippet which Donald Trump repeats that. He repeats it. Retweets it, not repeats it. Retweets it. Yeah. Also, Joe Rogan has said, I don't know if it's Joe Rogan said it or one of his guests said it, should do a 4-hour debate, him and Sleepy Joe, as to quote Donald Trump, Sleepy Joe, on the Joe Rogan podcast, should say, for 4 hours. And Donald Trump fucking retweets that again. So yeah, to Jonesy, yeah, Donald Trump seems to be a big advocate of Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has gone on record to say he's a lefty, he's a Democrat. He would have voted for Bernie Sanders, but I think any person with intellect probably can't vote for Joe Biden because
in that case, then is Trump doing this to try and get some of his followers back over to Trump's side?
Of course. Because remember, Joe Rogan has. I'm going to be conservative. Has 100 million downloads a month. That's over 1 billion downloads a year. So yes, Joe Rogan has power. Right or wrong, Joe Rogan has power. I mean, and that's why Donald Trump's probably tapping into that, because he's probably his voters are probably, a lot of them on the fence going, "Do you know what? I'm a Democrat." I bet you a lot of Democrats are not going to vote Democrat. They're going to vote Donald Trump on the quiet. Publicly, I'm a Democrat. Quietly, they're going to vote Donald Trump. That's my personal opinion. So that's one story on the Joe Rogan. The other part two of the Joe Rogan was, I don't know if you've seen it I think I was talking about it on the...
Nick agrees about Trump. Sorry, go on, you carry on. About it's the world's #1 podcast, of course. Trump is trying to increase his popular vote by retweeting.
Yeah, it's a very clever tactic. So there's that on the about 3 or 4 days ago. A lot of Spotify employees sent emails to the CEO of Spotify who are upset with Joe Rogan's jokes about Caitlyn Jenner from I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and they're talking about it now. Like they call it. I don't know if do you know what the word dead naming is. Dead naming.
No.
So dead naming is that your name Andy, and you call yourself Andrea now. So if I called you Andrew, that name is dead. So if I refer to so that's dead naming. In the state of California, I think that could be classed as you could get arrested for that.
Right.
So obviously, Joe Rogan made jokes about Caitlyn Jenner, changing and all that kind of malarkey, and they found out who's being transphobic. So the Spotify employees were saying, yeah, we need to either get him, I don't know, disciplined or taken off air. But Joe Rogan said this 3 or 4 years ago. Why are they bringing it up now? Do you think this is a way from the I'm just be looking from the outside in, the left to unsettle the right, or vice versa, or for Spotify to keep people talking about Spotify and Joe Rogan in the press?
Yeah, possibly. Because, like you say, Spotify surely would have done the background check on him. It's been months
Yes.
him
And
coming over.
have you seen some of his jokes? Some of his jokes are they're like on the border, like Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
Really, like fucking hell, I can't believe he said that.
But it's also in that group of a lot of stuff like episodes of classic Brit sitcoms like Only Fools and Horses and things like that. That aren't being shown anymore because attitudes have changed, and they have changed. But yeah, I just read some of the chat stuff as well.
Just the Commander Kremen just says, "I bet my house trouble with his erection. Biden's not going to last." That's actually quite funny. That cheers, Commander Kremen.
Yeah.
What was it when Biden will declare a miscount? It'll go to for a decision.
The courts for a decision.
Yeah, the courts for a decision. The Supreme Court is thoughts and even numbers. Yeah. Even Donald Trump's already preempting it all. I personally think with all these, like the impeachments, I know we're going off topic here, but all these impeachments and against Donald Trump and throwing all these allegations at him, Donald Trump, most normal person would have collapsed. No, let me correct myself. Most rational people would have said, "Fuck this! I'm walking away." They'll go a golden handshake, walk away. Donald Trump is obsessed and dare I say it, passionate. He says, "I'm going to fucking win every case, every court case you from. I'll buy it out. I'll beat it." People are beginning to love him because they listen. This guy, you throw some at him, he wins it. Right? I'm just looking from the outside in. I don't care who wins. I'm English. You know what I mean? We're British. I don't care. It doesn't affect, or it does affect us in the long run. But it could be the Mickey Mouse who's the president over there. It doesn't really matter. But it seems to me that's what's happening.
Yeah, again, I don't follow it as close, because like you say,
I follow it all the time.
really
I read it. Commander Krem says civil war of some sort in the US. Yep, I think I agree. There'll be some kind of civil war. But before we finish, I've been because obviously with the current climate, I always try and. My dad used to say to me, "Knowing your history, understanding the present, is a blueprint to your future." The fall of the Roman Empire, the fall of the Greek Empire, sex was some kind of fluidity. It was sex, misgendering. That was part of the end of the Roman Empire, the part of the Greek Empire. We're talking about transgender. Could this be the end of the American Empire and then the rise of the Eastern, which is the Chinese Empire?
I don't know.
So I've been reading books.
Time will tell. History will tell.
So I've just overrun there. I knew it wouldn't be I've got so much on this subject. I probably have to carry on next week.
Well, you can do, man. I'll just have you chatting next week, just talking to yourself. Cool, man.
But no, it's you got the question, the food.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about the food. Did anyone mention any food in the chat room?
No,
Strange food combinations. Go on, I've got one.
I'll throw mine in. I had loads of food in the fridge, in the cupboards. It was coming to 3 or 4 days before it runs out. So I made a spaghetti pizza.
All right, like a pizza base.
Yeah, pizza. Made the dough. Made the dough, and put the tomatoes on. So kind of like the tomato base, and then just put spaghetti all over it. Boiled the spaghetti and then put it on. Baked it. So a spaghetti pizza I made. So
I guess they're both savoury flavours.
But
That's a crime. That's a crime against pizza, Carlos. Commander Kremlin, have you had any?
It was basically
weird food combination.
Very anti Atkins diet. That very anti. So it's the opposite of the Atkins diet.
Was it Heinz tomato sauce? Oh,
no,
cheese.
It was the
cheese and jam.
Tomatoes. What's that? Tomato puree. That's it. Tomato puree.
Tomato puree. Cheese and jam. Commander Kremlin says, which is a classic sweet and savoury combination. I don't think that's as bad.
Jones has said almost as bad as pineapple and pizza.
You should have put pineapple on it.
Jonesy sounds like a very sophisticated kind of guy. I bet Jonesy eats swan and pizza. Something like swan and pizza.
Swan and pizza. Yeah, I like pineapple and pizza. I've got a couple. I've had pancake day.
Yeah.
On pancake day, you got your classics. You got syrup and sugar and lemon and all that.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, and ice cream on pancakes. No problem with that. I've had baked beans on pancakes. That was all right. And I've had Marmite on pancakes. That also was quite nice.
Beans it's probably just a posh version of beans on toast.
Jonesy has foie gras Brussels. I've had foie gras once when I was in France for a work thing. It was quite nice. I can't remember what it was.
It's nice, but when they tell you how they make it, it's awful.
Awful.
It's a bit like black pudding. When you first have blood, that's nice. Oh yeah, it's pig's blood. It's like, but foie gras, the way they treat the ducks, it's fucking horrible. It's horrible the way they do the ducks. Force feed them. You know what I mean?
Just on a couple of other mixing things, I came across these the other day. Apparently, you know how you get orange squash, apple squash, blackcurrant, and all this, and sometimes you can get blackcurrant and berries or whatever. But there was this guy who was saying that he now just buys them and he mixes his own. He makes his own squash flavors, and I can't remember where I heard it, but it was on a radio show. It was on a radio, and he was basically he'd rung in on a radio show, and he said, right, do 2/3 this, 2/3 that, and it makes this really nice concoction. And I was like, I think one of them was like a grapefruit thing. I was like, oh, that sounds weird. And then they also laughingly went, oh, I bet you mix your cereals. And he's like, yeah, I do. He says it's been years since I've had just one cereal. I don't just have Shreddies or I don't just have Rice Krispies. I'll always mix my cereals. I've never done either of them things, but apparently that's the new thing now. People are ringing in going, oh my god, yeah. Once you start mixing your cereals.
I think I used to do. I've done that before. Not crazy, but I've mixed when I was like, oh shit, empty that box out. Do you remember we used to get them Kellogg's pack of 8? Do you remember we used to get a pack of 8? Small ones, one for each day. Obviously, obviously, I know one. Maybe Paul McCartney was right 8 days a week.
It's because it's easier to package, isn't it, than 7?
Probably. And maybe Paul McCartney was right 8 days a week. So I used to just, when there's 2, I used to just put 2 random ones in together. So yeah, people do.
Right, so you've done that. Yeah, that was interesting. Those two are talking about flight sims now in the chat room. So yeah, Jonesy, I will forward you a picture of Commander Kremen's setup.
Jonesy said maybe Jonesy's been watching our Batmask, and he says Paul McCartney died in a car crash in the 70s.
Yeah, that's also possibly a future podcast episode where we talk about celebrity clones and stuff like that.
And also, are we going to mention next Wednesday we're going to be talking about Clubs 27?
Yeah, Club 27.
Artists,
not the discotheque that 27 goes to. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll be chatting about that. That's a podcast recording, and that will be out the following. So that'll be out next week. 7 days. It'll be out. Yeah. That's cool. Excellent, right? Yes.
That's nearly an hour and a half, gone like that.
I know. Well, we need to make up for the fact we weren't on last week, so I preferred that. Yeah. Jonesy, bring back discotheque royales. I think it'll be a while before any nightclubs get brought back.
Beautiful building though, Jonesy.
Curfew at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I think that's the nightclub Nick met his wife. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick. That's where he met his wife in that. Oh no, that's the first time they decided to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And the history that changed his life forever. That.
Oh God.
Oh, wrong then.
Wrong. It is wrong.
Oh, 21 Piccadilly's. That's it. 21 Piccadilly's. He says. So I'm not far away. I'm only half a mile away.
Oh yeah. Cool. Close. Cool. All right, chaps. Yeah, thanks for that in the chat room. Yeah, it was good. Thanks for the pulling everyone over, Jonesy. That was good. The raid. Yeah. Yeah, we will see you later. See you later, guys. So yeah, say bye, Carlos.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah. Peace, love, and Gandhi. See you later.